This is episode 3.
Yoni went from basically no followers to, I think you've got over 15,000 now in the last 18 months.
Yeah, something like that.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
What was the website you used to pay for those?
I think it was KarlThyer.com.
I knew you were going to say that.
Welcome to Untitled Artwork. This is episode 3 in our 0 to 1,000 sales series, in which we talk about how to make sales through social media. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Yes. Nailed it.
One of the things I figured out early and it helped me sales massively was every time I was going to post something on social media, whether that was Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever platform it is, I was always thinking to myself, I either need to educate people on how I'm doing this, how I'm creating this piece of artwork, or I need to entertain them, which includes why I'm creating it. So every single thing now that I post on social media, it's generally either to entertain you, to say, look, this is why I'm doing it, because I love this piece, I love this player, I'm trying to make people laugh, or I'm trying to connect with people because I'm trying to entertain people, or I'm educating them. This is how I created it. I started off doing this. I took inspiration from that artist. I took inspiration from that piece of music. And that for me is where people have connected with me to create those sales. And it's just people can use it. People can tell me it doesn't work. But for me, if you're educating or entertaining people, you're gonna get sales, and you're gonna get people buying into your brand.
On the back of that, I think it's important always, especially as a creative person, especially as an artist, like, don't lose sight of like who you are and why you got into it though. So like I agree with everything that you just said, Callie, but I think the worst thing that some people can do is see a person and go, oh, they do X and that works, I'm gonna do X and try and emulate them. Like, just be you, be the most authentic version of you. That won't resonate with everybody. That's fine. Like, you don't need to please everybody all the time. Like, no good art and no good artist pleases everybody.
Yeah.
No.
So don't worry about that. Just as long as you're being you.
Yeah.
Like, then that's pretty good.
And there's an argument to say you don't want to please everybody as well, because social media rewards people. It does, but it rewards some people for being controversial. Like, I heard a good Kanye West lyric the other day. I was listening to his Life of Pablo album, and one of the lyrics was something like, everyone's got an opinion on you. As long as everyone's got an opinion on you, it's fine. It's when people don't have an opinion on you that you need to start worrying.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not relevant and you've got no opinion, some people just don't care who you are. So you can look at it like, you can go down the controversial route, you can go down the passion route. As long as you're relevant in some way, then that, it helps you. It helps your product.
You have to be active, regularly active.
Be active.
Yeah.
Be willing to upset people.
I mean, I would even go as far to say, is if you can, is to just look in Google and I'm sure, I've never done it myself, but I'm sure the information's out there that you can Google the algorithms and what patterns kind of make each social platform tick. I know that from you guys. I mean, it wasn't until you guys had told me that putting a link in to the direct your tweet that it kind of gets a little bit, your post gets hidden. Yeah, and also I think you said earlier on about the reels on Instagram. That's they like. People like that, or the algorithm on Instagram likes that. So I think that you should try and research those sides of things to just give you just every little bit of edge in the social media game, which again ultimately will down the line lead to more sales in your shop.
I wanted to highlight how quickly Yoni's following's gone as well in the last couple of years. Yoni went from basically no followers to, I think you've got over 15,000 now in the last 18 months.
Yeah, something like that.
On Twitter.
Yeah.
What was the website you used to pay for those?
I think it was KarlThyer.com.
I knew you were going to say that.
But it is my theory, and tell me whether I'm wrong. This is from observing you build that social media following and those sales. My theory behind that was because you use social media to be social. Like you were the most social person on there in terms of giving feedback to people, getting feedback, collaborating with people, reaching out to people, giving people free stuff. When I actually sat there and was like, what's he doing to get this following so quickly? But that wasn't, you calculated it. It just seemed like a natural.
Yeah, I mean,
on top of that, it's having a fucking amazing artwork as well.
Oh,
I mean,
course,
we've got to make sure that we mention our fucking, because it is you, like your progression as an illustrator is fucking.
But we all know that like the artwork only ever gets you so far. Some of the pieces I'm most proud of get like very little attention, but I think I mean, like Callie said, it certainly wasn't a strategic thing, but it's less so when you're really busy, and it is a shame. Like the more busy I am, the less I can be present on social media. But when I do get the time, it's a community. There is a really great community of artists on there, people that you feel like even if you never had the chance to meet them in person. And I always try and engage with that. I think it's really important. I think the other thing is, by doing that, even if it's not on purpose, you wind up not just getting followers on Twitter, but you wind up getting people that really have your back and will put, they'll always push you if they can. And I think that's a really useful thing. I think there's so much discourse around how to be an artist online, and I agree with a lot of it, and I disagree with a lot of it. But I think one thing that we've said in the process of having these chats before is you should never work for free, but you should always decide whether or not you're getting value back from producing a piece of work, and pounds and pence is not the only way to get value. I know people say you can't keep the lights on and the bills on with exposure, and I think if you're an established artist and you've already got your audience and you've already got your platform and you've got your business, absolutely don't work for free. But if you're starting out and a big Twitter account says, hey, could you do a profile picture for me? Well then, if they've got hundreds of thousands of followers, and for the next 12 months, every time you drop a new piece, you can just DM them and say, hey mate, do you mind giving this a retweet? Well, that will pay itself back. That will lead to followers, that will lead to sales. And I think, finding out how to build those relationships with artists and influential people is really important. And that's something I look to do from the beginning. But then the reverse of that is you have to make sure that you've got good value to give people as well. I'm not trying to suggest that anybody should ever not continue to push themselves and continue to try to develop as an artist, but at the same time, just because you own an iPad, do not think that you as of yet have something really valuable to offer to other people. You might reach out to someone and say, hey, can I give you a print? Can I do a piece of work for you? But if you're not the finished article yet, or you're nowhere near, don't expect them to say yes.
Yeah, I got KB'd. I got knocked back by so many people saying, can I just I was offering stuff for free. I was like, I'll do some artwork for free. And this is back 18 months ago now, when I was just still not really, I didn't really have an established style of artwork. And people say no to me, and I was like, yeah, that's good, but it was good. It wasn't reflective of their brand at the time. You've got to realise that's okay. That's fine.
Absolutely.
You've got to move on. You've got to take the punches.
And not everybody's going to love your style, are they? That's just the crux of it is, not everybody's going to love everything you do. That's kind of...
I remember, to try and find, an analogy for that kind of thing, I remember when I was first, setting up my shop and getting going, so probably later on in 2020, I was doing a couple of market stalls to see if that was a viable way to make another bit of money. And I was doing one at Christmas, and I had all my prints set up. I'd put quite a lot of cash into getting what I thought was a really good setup for a stall. So I'd bought stands, loads of frames, I had loads of prints ready. I'd spent a few £100 to get this setup ready. And then the person next to me was selling paper mache snowmen that were proper shit, like so shit. And I think she was selling them for like $14.99, and she was constantly selling out throughout the day, like constantly having to restock her table. People absolutely loved them, and I think I maybe.
What did she look like?
What did she look like? She looked like she ran a market stall selling paper mache snowmen.
There's factors here that we're not going to discuss. But
Right.
you might have been looking, your beard might not have been looking that great that day, Yoni. That's all I'm going to say.
That was not a factor. I can almost certainly guarantee that. But I think I sold like maybe 150 quid's worth of stuff that day, and 40 quid of that was from some mates that came along to see me. But at the end of the day, what I said to myself was
net 90 quid.
But I just told myself, like, it's fine. Like, if not everyone likes your stuff, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's a specific thing. It's not generic. It's not, it doesn't appeal to the masses. You're creating something that will resonate with a certain section of the population. And I think that's far better than just creating something bland that everybody and their nan will pick up. Because that's not what you want to make as an artist. You want to make something that, 50% of the population will go, fucking hell, I need that in my life. And the other 50% will go, what the fuck is that? You'd much rather get that kind of reaction than anything else.
And also something that you, something that you as an illustrator fucking love. Like, that's the point of it, is it? As well as they love, you want to look at it and, like, you don't want to put anything up for sale where you look at it and you think to yourself, well, that's shit, but, it might sell. You need to have that connection to it.
Just back on Callie's point about growing social media over a course of like 12 to 18 months. I mean, just like giving away free shit and giving it away at the right times. And, that was always the main way. And I think a lot of people are somewhat wary of giveaways. But often if I've run a giveaway of something, I'll still sell plenty of that print because the tweet is getting so much more exposure, so much more engagement. The number of people that wind up seeing it and wind up visiting your shop is totally worth it. Ultimately, if you think of it just on a product cost, whether you're printing it yourself or you're buying it in bulk, you're talking about less than £1 worth of investment plus £3 for shipping. So less than a £5. So if you sell 5 or 6 and you gain a couple hundred followers, then it's totally worth it. It's only a few quid's investment.
Giving stuff away for free is the best marketing tool. I repeat, giving stuff away for free is the best marketing tool in terms of making sales that you'll ever come across.
Yeah,
I agree. I don't know who it was that told me. I think it was an old boss of mine, and he was like, if you don't give away he used to say, if you want to make 20 grand, you need to give away 20 grand's worth of value. Yeah. How do you do that? For me, it cost me £1 to send a print, but I would normally sell that print for a tenner. So if I was going to give away £1 worth of that print, it's 100 prints. Yeah. But that's only going to cost me £100 to send. So you don't necessarily need to spend 1,000 to make 1,000. But if I give 100 prints away, I've given away £1,000 worth of value. Mm-hmm. I think my maths is right on this. Yeah. But if I just think about that and break it down for a second. If I give away 100 prints that are worth a tenner each on my site, that's 100 people that I have give something for free to. Yeah. Now, it's cost me £100. Out of those 100, how many people are going to potentially buy off me in the future? I don't know the answer to that question, but I know it's going to be more than 100 quid's worth.
It's going to be more than you had before, mate. That's
it's going to be more than I had before. And you're building, and it comes down to that social aspect again. Yeah. And don't do it just to make the sale. And I'm saying this, and it's difficult for me to say it without saying like you're trying to trick people into buying off you. There's an element of that.
It's a marketing tool. It's a marketing tool.
It's a marketing tool. Yeah, you can't come away from that.
Exactly, and that's
doing it is it's priceless.
I think like if we break down the numbers that you just went over a little bit further there, Kelly, I think I don't think any of us would really dispute that if you were to run 100 giveaways and give away 100 prints, you're probably going to generate at least 100 sales, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, off the back of that.
Let's say 50.
Fine, let's say 50.
Let's be kind and say 50.
So you're gonna sell 50 prints. So the 100 plus the 50, you've spent 150 quid. But what you've brought in from the 50 is 500.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're spending 150 and you're netting 350 quid.
I actually done an experiment when I had more time, but when I was just doing print work, I think it was last summer, and I give away one print to one person for 30 days. I spent about 80 quid sending those prints out in total, and I made double that back off the same people. And I tracked who I'd sent to, what the name was, what their email address was, what their address was. And then when I got a sale for the next few months, it was off those people. And it was only about 8 people that bought off me out of the 30. But those 8 people bought double the amount I'd spent. And I was like, I could probably just pay someone to reach. And this was just me DMing people who were talking about players I'd drawn. So, because I couldn't find any other way, I didn't want to run a giveaway every day because it gets boring for the people that follow you. So I was just looking at topics online. So anyone talking about Virgil van Dijk, I'd then DM that person, say, listen, I'm giving away free prints of Virgil van Dijk this week and I know you like him. Do you want me to send them one? There's no catch, no cost at all. Just doing that built a relationship with every one of those 30 people, and those people still buy off me today. I wish I had more time to do that every day. But if I was starting out, that's all I'd do. That is all I'd do. People won't believe me, but try it for 10 days.
I think, not to sound like an old fuck, but I think there's a lot of people younger than us three now who expect everything to be given to them on a plate. And I think the other side of like what we're saying is, and I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried this, you might have done, but it's like, I don't do it as much anymore simply because I don't have the time. And sadly, like, once you become a little bit more established and a little bit more successful, you do, you have to prioritize where your time goes. But when I was in the first probably 12, 18 months of doing prints and doing designs, if I ran a competition, I would then pick the winner, and then what I would do is put in that tweet where I picked the winner, anybody who didn't win, DM me for a runners-up prize, and then anybody that DM'd me, I would tell them you can get 50% off a print. Yeah. And even beyond that, sometimes what I would go through is find everybody that entered, everybody that retweeted, and I would DM them saying, thanks for entering the competition, sorry you didn't win, here's a discount code that 100%. Says you can get 50% cool. off.
That's one thing,
you might, that'll take, even if a couple hundred people or a few hundred people enter, you're talking 20 minutes to half an hour's work, and I guarantee you will net between 50 and 100 quid's worth of sales off the back of it.
I actually missed that out of when I said I'd done that 30-day challenge where I give something away. In the post that I sent a 30% off discount code, and then a DM them to say, I've sent you the printout, I've also give you 30% off in my store anytime you want to buy. And I missed that out. That's probably a key point of information that will get you those sales back end. But at the same time, it's the connection with people. It's the value first that you're giving to people. And although you're doing it to grow your business, you're also getting someone who likes you and appreciates the fact that you've spent a time drawing something that you're giving away to someone for free.
One thing that I found the first few times I ran a competition, and then there is, so I have always used websites to pick, they pick the winners for you. Mm-hmm. But there are a couple of them that I can't remember off the top of my head where you can enter specific criteria into who wins the competition, because what you'll notice when you do competitions quite a lot is a lot of people don't tweet. Like, if you go on their Twitter profile, their last 100 tweets are just retweeting competitions.
Yep.
And as much as you want to be fair and give it away to whoever wins, there has to be an understanding from the customer side that we're doing it to get some. It's a marketing operation. So if I'm not getting a paid customer, what I do want to get is somebody who actually engages with the platform and is actually going to engage with my work more and more as it goes.
Definitely.
Absolutely, man. You know, I had one competition. I ran a competition once, and again, I used a website to pick the winners, but I had one that didn't have one of those criteria things. And I think it was a Christmas jumper I sent to someone in America, and they had no idea what they'd won. Like, and
really?
like even well, it wasn't so much. You know, I could tell from our conversation there was no like. They were I can't wait to receive it, and I'm like, so which one do you want? And they were like, which what? And the whole competition was you get the choice of, you know, this Christmas jumper, and that really like pissed me off in the sense that, and then you kind of. You know, I started to be a bit more aware and looking at people who are retweeting it to see what their thing is. And like you said, some people just constantly retweet competitions, and I was just like, you need to kind of get away from that, because as much as people are investing in you, you want to invest in them and believe that the reason why they want your artwork and they want to be in this competition is because, you know, they've got a passion for what you do and they genuinely do want it, not just because they're in it.
Fun.
Yeah, exactly, and entering any old competition.
Yeah. I think we're coming up on 120 anyway. I think what might be interesting to do is give each of our top 5 things to do on social media to generate sales as a starting business.
Okay.
And then maybe we can get the lists listed on the screen for people.
Yeah.
Might be a decent clip to share. Yoni, start with you.
Top 5 things to do on social media. One, like we've all just said, I'm going to do them from number 1 to number 5, not 5 to 1. So I'd say the most important thing.
Nobody cares.
I care. The most important thing is run giveaways. And I think that can encompass other stuff as well. Like, make sure that you are always giving somebody who follows you value for following you, whether that's in content or real physical stuff. Always make sure that your account is good value to be followed. Number 2 is be active regularly. You know, sometimes it is the most difficult thing, especially I would say on like platform like Instagram, where it feels a little bit more like it's carved in stone. Twitter, you know, it goes away, so it's easy to just shit post. Instagram, I have to think about what I'm going to post, the caption. I also sometimes feel like I need to think about the next 2 or 3 posts, so I'm thinking about how my portfolio looks. Number 3, find good people to engage with. You know, whether it's other artists or people that follow you and like your art. You know, find a way to always engage with them. Number 4, which I guess comes back to that point a little bit, is always reply to comments on your work. You know, within the first couple of days, if you post a piece on Twitter or Instagram, every single time somebody reply back, whether that's with an emoji or with a proper response, because it just really helps the engagement. And then number 5, I would say, is don't expect results overnight. It's graft. Nobody gets 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers just because one of their posts goes boom. I think, you know, all you have to do is think about the viral tweets that you see. Like, I always come back to that one where it was just like a picture of fucking toast, and it got like a million likes, but who clicked on their profile? Nobody. Like, they didn't gain 500,000 followers from a million likes.
Follow the toast guy?
I don't, mate. I don't follow the toast guy. So yeah, I would say that is just remember that it's a long game. You know, you will probably only see what feels like minuscule growth because you're going to be checking it every day. But what you should be really thinking is what's it going to look like in 12, 18, 24 months.
Yeah.
Or years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure there's...
If we're still here, then.
I'm not sure there's much I can add to what Yoni said. He's probably pretty much pointed out some of the 5 I would go through. I would also say, I would add to that, I would say that also be yourself online. Make sure you're yourself online, and make sure your engagement is... Like, I know a lot of people use their social media account as their own personal account, but it is important what you say and how you act online. So, because I think that is reflective on your sales. You know, if people think you're a dickhead, then they're not going to buy from you. So, kind of, you know, just be... I'm not saying not to you be yourself, but just be aware of how you come across. I think that's quite an important thing to do online. And like Yoni said, is I think the other thing is to interact with people and, you know, just show appreciation to. If people like your work, then, you know, just show appreciation, that you appreciate that they like your work, because again, I think that's quite important. I mean, and I think the rest of the points Johnny's pretty much covered, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I've got a few slightly different ones as well to add to it. I know I've got 5, but one, make sure that your profile is of what you do. Point number 2, follow people that do what you do. So follow people who you deem as your competitors. They're not your competitors, they're potential collaborators. If you get on with people that do the same thing as you, whether it's the same type of artwork or the same type of industry, if they like your work, they will share your work. You know, one of the things that we can all attest to is, yeah, Karl's got a well bigger following than anyone else. If Karl doesn't like your work, he's not going to retweet it. If he does like your work, you get your work shared to 60,000 people potentially. So follow people that do the same thing as what you do or similar, build those relationships and be social with them. 3, reach out to people that have got bigger followings than you and see if they want to either collaborate or if they want some of your artwork or product for free in exchange for sharing a post. You might not want to ask them if they want to exchange for sharing a post. Just send them it for free anyway and hope that they do it. But if you don't do that, if you don't focus on that social aspect, it's going to be difficult to grow your following and get any traction at all. Another point is, again, on that giveaway stuff for free, if you want to make 20 grand, give away 20 grand's worth of value, whether that's as a post this or repost this, and you can win something, or just by DMing people and saying, I heard you were talking about this person, I've got artwork that relates to that, do you want to have it? I think that's a key point. And the last point to get the most sales in social media is to follow Untitled Artwork. Follow Untitled Artwork.
Very good.
Yeah.
And each of us.
Watch this podcast. Follow Untitled Artwork. We're going to have potentially opportunities for people to be earning money through artwork ourselves that we can offer contracts to people and freelance opportunities as well. So follow us and make sure you stay in touch.
Just one there is one thing I did actually think of adding, is don't be afraid to ask people to retweet your stuff, whether that be to DM somebody, a big account, or I used to always whenever I posted a piece at the bottom saying please retweet, or retweets really appreciated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
I think that is a really important point actually. Like, I think I've noticed that my tweets
don't have any shame.
Yeah, but when I literally put at the bottom of a post, retweets and likes appreciated, I get more retweets and likes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that just gets you seen by more people, doesn't it?
Some of the biggest retweets I've had, i.e. Conor McGregor, Steven Gerrard, etc., is because I've not been shameful and I've just fucking tweeted them straight away. As soon as they tweet, turn on post notifications. If someone you've done artwork off that's famous, tweet them your artwork and say what you think of this, and if you retweet it, you potentially get a reach to millions of people. So be shameless.
Exactly. Yeah. Absolutely.
I think that sums up a good episode. I think there's plenty there that people can get their teeth into, and potentially help make more sales for themselves. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.